Welcome back to the What's Your More podcast. Today, I am joined by a PGA Hall of Famer, a PGA legend. I'm honored you are sitting here in the studio today, Mr. Vijay Singh. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here today. You know, Vijay has won 34 events on the PGA Tour, including 3 major championships, 1 Masters in 2000, and 2 PGA championships in 98 and 04. He's the first person of South Asian descent to win a major championship. He was elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame in 2006. He also reached world number 1 rankings in the official World Golf Rankings for 32 weeks in 2004 and 2005. Vijay was the 12th man to reach the world number 1 ranking and was the only new world number 1 during the 2000 decades. Singh was the leading PGA Tour money winner in 03, 04, and 08, and he's also captured the FedEx Cup in 2008. To say the least, you've done a lot. So that's quite a resume, and I think I had to condense it. There's a lot of good stuff on there. So again, thanks for taking time to be on our show, and I know you're in town for a short period of time, so I appreciate you coming in here, and it's just an honor to have you on the show today.
Good, nice to be here.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I go through all of that. That's a lot to unpack on there. But one of the things I kind of want to start with from the very beginning is I always wonder, like, I see you guys on TV. And obviously, I always say to my wife, and I hear other people say, man, they make it look so easy. But it started somewhere, man. So talk to us a little bit, like, when did you know you wanted to become a pro golfer? Like, how does that even start? Like, you pick up, where does it go? How do you do it?
Well, my dad was a player, and I had 2 brothers, older brothers, that played golf as well. And in Fiji, where we grew up, there was nothing much to do. Either play soccer, play rugby, which is the main sport in Fiji, and golf was another way of making money for young kids. You go out there, caddy. So I did that, and obviously my dad really loved the game, and he taught me how to play, me, my brothers, and just took it over from there.
Well, that's fantastic. So your dad was your teacher growing up?
Pretty much, yeah. He didn't really teach me all the angles and all that. He just said, here's the club, and keep your head down and hit it. And,
It's just that simple.
Yeah, well, I learned most of it by watching, other players. We used to have small events, the golf pros from Australia and New Zealand that came over and played Pro-Am. So,
okay.
And they had, obviously I took tips from them and, magazines. We didn't have TV at that time. So, so that's how I kind of picked it up.
Yeah, so you almost, between your dad, reading magazines, watching people, borderline self-taught between you
pretty
and your dad.
much, yeah. In the beginning, I was. Yeah,
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So learning to read the greens, all of that, all self-taught.
Well, the greens were kind of a little different in Fiji. There's some of the fairways out here was better than the greens we played on. So it's come a long ways from where I actually learned how to play golf. But going up to Australia early in my career, that was big help. And I knew from probably when I was 15, 16 that I wanted to be a pro. So
wow.
Yeah, I wanted to make a living.
So someone 15, 16 years old, like, what type of dedication are you putting in this? I've read where you are I've read and I've heard from people, you are a very special person when it comes to practicing. Like, a lot of people don't want to practice. Like, I just want to play. But you're known for your practicing.
Well, that's the point, because when I was growing up, having no teacher, you need to learn how to hit the ball. And it's easy to hit the ball, but to hit the ball where you look in and, where you want the ball to go, that's the main thing. So the only way for me to succeed was just to hit balls and hit balls and hit balls and make sure that you know where the ball was going. I had a lot of flows in my golf swing, a lot of, if you watch my golf swing when I was growing up and now, it's huge different because I had nobody to actually guide me to what I was doing. So it's all by watching and actually looking at other people, and that's how I learned. So
yeah, I just want to paint the picture for our audience. Think about what he's saying. Watching my swing, adapting to it. You didn't have an iPhone where you could record your swing. You didn't have an iPad. You didn't have someone in the background. So what were you would literally try to imitate someone else's swing? Is that what you would do?
Yeah, and I had a brother that we practiced together. He was 2 years older than me, and we kind of watched each other. He had a much better golf swing. You either kind of have a good golf swing or you don't, and
I don't, by the way.
If you look at Furyk, if you look at Trevino, they have their own kind of golf swing. So they learn how to play with that golf swing, and I learned how to play with mine. So, and as I got older, I saw, teachers that, from time to time, hey, what's my golf swing? See what you see, and they tell me a few things, and I just go and practice. And actually working on the range kind of helped me a lot, because if I get a tip from somebody, I go and make sure that I get it down, and you can actually tell if it's a good thing for you or no. You know, a lot of people tell you a lot of stuff. You don't really have to listen to all those stuff and actually, you know, take it in. You pick out what you want and throw away the rest.
Yeah, no, I could see that. You know, for me, golf's just, they always say it's a game of inches, but it's so much to take in, so much data to take in. So someone could say one thing, throw you off the whole day.
Right. I mean, you know, then was different. I mean, you kind of listen to people because that's the only way you can actually know what, you know, how to learn. Now, if he tells you something, you can actually tell I mean, right now, if I'm in the golf course alone and there's a ball guy there just, you know, picking up balls, I say, hey, can you come and take a video of my swing? And I can see what I'm doing, you know. Then, like you said, it was all feel and, you know, find it in the dirt kind of thing. So,
man, that's pretty amazing. I couldn't imagine. So how many hours do you think did you practice a day? Yeah, I've always been curious when I hear about that. How many times does a pro probably practice?
It kind of varies, really. I mean, right now, I mean, over here, you hit the balls, you don't really worry about picking it up. Then you have to find balls to hit. Right. You know, I used to hit some really crappy balls. I mean, and you have to hit it and then go pick it up and, you know, clean it up and then hit it again. So, you know, a whole day's workout would not really mean by hitting balls all day. You know, it requires picking the balls up, and you know, if you hit it all over the place, it takes you a long time to pick up the balls. So,
that counts as part of practice.
I mean, I'd go and practice all day. You know, I'd have breakfast, you know, and then just eat something and just go and beat balls. And unless we are playing the golf course, we'll just keep hitting balls. And you know, you meet friends along the way, other pros, you know, and all you do is just beat balls. I used to go when I was in PGA, I used to go and find balls, you know, and the good ones you keep as a practice, and you know, have a whole bag full of it. And man, I watched that ball so many times. There was no more dimples left on them, you know. But they were white balls, so you put it out there and hit it, you know. So that's how I got here.
Well, that's definitely not lost art. I mean, you've put in the time ever, as the resume shows. You know, 93 you enter and you become Rookie of the Year at the PGA. What was that like entering at that time in 93? I mean, when you entered in 93, you know, you walk in there, you know, with your background, and you're walking into a field here. You know, what was that like? How intimidated were you, or were you not intimidated at all? You're like, let's go do this.
Well, I played. You know, I turned pro when I was 18. You know, so. And then what was 93? I was probably 27, 28, somewhere there. And I played in Asia. I played in Europe. I won tournaments. I had already won tournaments in Europe. Yeah. So I played in Europe for 6 years. So, and when I first came here, I was 92. And I played the first tournament, finished second in Bay Hill. So I finished second in Bay Hill. I think I finished fourth in Memorial. It was different times. And then I played two other events, finished seventh and something else, and I got my tour card. So that's how I came, and you know, got my full exemption and played 93 and won in the first year.
Well, I mean, it was 93 Rookie of the Year, did pretty darn well about that. You know, throughout your career, I'm sure there are just numerous things that you can go to. But in that first, let's say that first 5 years, like what was the most thrilling moment of your career? So it'd be 93 to 98. Like, what was
winning
like?
The first tournament was big for me. Yeah. You know, that, you know, when I turned pro, my whole intention was to make a living. I mean, you know, coming from a Pacific Island, you know,
I think you
have to make a living. Yeah, you know,
mission accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, even in Australia, a lot of guys, they just want to make a living out of playing golf. I mean, if you get good enough, obviously there's other intentions. But my goal was to make a good living. And even when I first came in, you know, 93, my whole idea or goal was to keep my tour card. It was first year.
Yeah, once I got it, I want to hold on to it.
Yeah. So, but when I won, then it kind of opened all the doors. You get 3 years, then was 3 years. So then you're free to play. Kind of frees up your game, you know, and, you know, gets your mind in a little bit of peace.
I can see that.
Yeah. And then you just go ahead and just play. And from then on, it was like, how many tournaments can I win, you know? And practice was all I did. I mean, I was so determined to play well and, you know, to beat everybody, and that's all I did.
Yeah.
And that, I guess that's how my mindset is, you know. I just go out there and I just don't want anyone to beat me, you know. So, and that's internally, that's how I feel, you know, and the only way to do that is to be ready.
Yeah. You've been known to have a competitor's just very mindset sometimes where some people made the mistake or made the misconception that you might be closed off, but it just appears based on this, you're just so damn focused that you're like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I mean, you can be, very social, and that kind of takes away your focus from what you're doing. I would just go and just practice and don't even want to talk to anybody. I mean, many a times, when Cass and even my wife and they'd be yelling at me during a tournament, and I'm so focused that I don't even really know who's.
You don't even acknowledge you're there.
So that's the way I've always been, and I think that's why I became good.
Yeah, no, there's not a doubt. I mean, focus definitely led to the results there. So, who would you say was your most challenging opponent during your career? Like who was the most challenging, but also raised your game, like forced you to be at another level?
Well, I had different generations of players.
Yeah.
I played with Norman. When I first went to Europe, I had few practice rounds with Jack Nicklaus, and you kind of look at them and say, "Wow, I'm playing with Jack Nicklaus." So you kind of learn from that, and you get Ballesteros era, you got Nick Faldo's era, they're kind of similar, and then you got Tiger's era, so kind of everybody kind of challenged me in a different way.
Yeah.
So but the only thing was, I mean, Tiger's era was really tough because he was dominant, throughout his career. So I kind of thought that he was the one to beat all the time, with Phil there as well, and Ernie Els was in that same generation. So those are the guys that I always fought against, and they were good players. I mean, they were tough players to beat, especially Tiger. I mean, he was, when he gets his game right, I mean, you got to be on, otherwise you're going to finish second. So.
Well, I tell you what, I couldn't imagine competing against that field. And, when, like to your point, when Tiger came in, that wasn't at the beginning of your career. So it's tough. Would you say it's tougher to battle that generation when they come in and, they're on the younger side of their career and you're in the midst of your career? Is it tougher to keep up with that, or is it really doesn't matter at all?
Well, then, when I was at my prime, 30, 35 was when you really played well. Those are the times, like if you go back and see when Faldo and Nicklaus and all these guys were really playing well, it was in the 30s. But when Tiger and a few other guys that came ahead after that, it was kind of like late 30s, late 20s, mid 20s. Now, shit, I mean, it's 20s,
Right.
They start to play well. So it has changed. There are better players coming out of college, and they straight away, they're ready to play. So, generation-wise, I think it's gone younger where the guys are getting better now.
Would you say that's because maybe some kids are growing up now with a club in their hand when they're 3 years old? I mean, when you see those stories about some of these guys, like yourself and Tiger, you guys are getting clubs in your hand younger, and you see these stories about that. But I mean, right now there's generations of kids that are playing the game and adapting.
Well, I
to
mean,
it
they
much
have
earlier.
so much young golfing, tournaments. You got like drive, chip, and putt. All the kids are just dying to get to Augusta and just to do that.
Just to do that.
Yeah. And I think the parents are putting their kids into golf younger and younger. So USGA have got programs where, you can go to any club and be part of a organization where you play golf, and I tried to get my son Cass to, do that, and he was just not interested to go into any kind of competition, in his early age. So that's where I think the young kids are getting better now. I mean, if they love the game, they just keep at it, and going to college, they already know how to play the game. They can just go from college straight into tournament and not worry about how they're going to perform.
Yeah, in 20, 25 years ago, that didn't exist.
No.
That type of platform didn't exist. And think about golf that I've noticed with my son. I put a club in his hand when he was sub 5 years old, and we played in a couple tournaments when he was 6, 7. Such a mental game for them too at that age,
right? Well, the competition's so early now. So
early.
Yeah, I mean, and they play. Gosh, I mean, they play every 2 weeks. There's a tournament for them from very early age, from 10, 11, 12. And they fight against their own age group.
Yeah.
So and once they get into high school and colleges, there's always a competition for them.
Right.
And that's how they become better, and that's how their mindset is, and it's all competition. So,
and and even at that age, I'll tell you this, they don't hold back in golf. Like, you see like soccer and you see baseball. Right. Everybody gets the trophy at the end of the season. They didn't like that in those leagues you're referring to. They place you first, second, third, fourth. True. If you're fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, you're on the outside looking in.
Plus, I mean, they got a lot of they can watch golf anytime they want now. I mean, they can watch it in their iPhones, and also I think the most important thing is they got very good coaches right now. Whenever every kid has got a coach. Right. It doesn't matter how old you are. You're not go and see a club pro or a pro at your course, and they have good teaching. They have good, stable teaching. They get good foundation earlier on, and then they take it up from there.
Well, and they got access to anything right now. Right. So that kind of leads me to my next question: technology in the game. What are your thoughts on the technology now versus your '93 rookie year? What is the clubs doing?
Well, I mean, I grew up playing with wooden drivers. I grew up playing with balata balls that I mean, you put a wooden driver and a balata ball in a college kid now, I mean, they have to really learn how to play the game again. I mean, I just hope that, they get the ball a little bit back and, make the drivers a little smaller where, like the early ages of the metal woods, the TaylorMade that came up with the metal woods, they were really small. I was actually yesterday in my gym and I was looking at one of the Callaway 3 woods. I mean, they look so tiny. I mean, it's, even the 5 woods and 7 woods are, bigger than that. So, that's why the kids are better now too. I mean, they go up there and they have a driver that has a head that is, 460, cc's, and they can just hit it. They cannot miss the ball.
Right. It's going to go somewhere.
Right. So I think the equipment has made a big difference. And nowadays, the game of golf is different. I was just watching the U.S. Open, and guys are shooting 62s on a golf course that's supposed to be hard. But the fairways are wider, and the ball just goes further. So no matter how long you make the golf course, the guys are just going to hit it further. Yeah. So you got to tighten the golf course or do things to the golf course that takes their driver out of their hands. I mean, if you miss a fairway, you got to be penalized.
Right.
Now they don't care. They just bomb it up there. And, I'm hitting the ball as long as I did in my heyday right now. And I'm 60 years old. So that should tell you something.
About the club.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about equipment.
So, do you think they're basically sculpting the course for TV ratings?
Not really doing that. I think they just don't want guys to make bogeys and and pars. They just want excitement.
Right.
I mean, like look at Augusta for once. I mean, on Sundays they just want guys to make birdies. And I mean, if you're 1 or 2 shot ahead in Augusta, you're not a guaranteed winner.
No,
you got to bring it on Sundays. So that's what they want. They want excitement. People doesn't want to sit in their chair at home, watch guys making bogeys and doubles. So they want birdies and eagles, and that's all entertainment now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so.
It really is. And so, do you think not only the club, but is the ball drastically different too with technology on that?
I mean, I found I was hitting balls probably beginning of the year at home, and I found some professional balls. Professional Titleys that was 95, 96.
Okay.
And I must have had 10 dozens of it. So I took it out and I said, I'm going to hit it. So the ball, I was measuring ball speed, and my ball speed with a good TaylorMade ball was, if I really go at it, I was getting it to 176 ball speed,
Dang.
175, And then I took the professional Titleys out, and it was 152, 153. So that should tell you. I mean, that's a huge difference.
Significant.
Yeah. And granted, the balls were old. I mean, I may have made it to 160, but 160 to 176. I mean,
still
for
big
me,
difference.
that's a huge. That's 20 yards, 25 yards in carry. So, that's the big difference. I mean, the golf courses are way longer now than when we played it, and that's because of the equipment. So
that makes sense.
And the guys are stronger.
Yeah,
the guys are huge. I mean, they're not skinny little guys anymore. 1 or 2 guys maybe, but they all work out. I mean, working out when I was growing up, doing weights was like taboo for golfers. You lift weights, you're not gonna have any feel left. That's what they told us. But I worked out. Lucky enough, I was working out from a very early age, and I just thought that, to hit the ball far, to get strong, you need to be a strong person. So.
Yeah, you're right. You do see like the specimen of golfer
yeah.
has changed now. I mean, in their physique, they're all physically fit,
and big. They're bigger now.
Humongous.
Yeah.
Humongous.
I was watching Rory hit the ball. I mean, he looks so strong, and Bruce Koepka and Dustin Johnson, and all these guys. I mean, they bomb it. I mean, they really.
And you don't realize how big they are till you see them in person.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, holy cow, these are huge.
I mean, look at Tiger when he first came on. He was skinny little dude, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as 2, 3, 4 years later, I mean, he was like a running back,
That's so true. Yeah. So, wanted to ask you this. I think this is, when I first structured this agenda, one of the things I was going to ask you was, do you ever think LIV and PGA would coexist? And then here we are today. Monahan, has merged these two organizations together. What's your first take on that?
Well, it's not merged yet. I mean,
True.
they talking.
Right.
They said they're gonna be a partnership. So we don't really know what the real deal is all gonna be about. I think I feel really sad in one way. For the players that didn't go.
Oh, I completely agree.
They lost all these opportunities to make a lot of money, because they were really true to the tour.
Mm-hmm.
They were faithful. They believed in the tour, and all of a sudden it just flipped.
I mean, it makes you sick to your stomach. Yeah. Cam Smith looks like the smartest dude in the room right now.
Yeah, and Phil Mickelson for that matter.
Sure.
And Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, they made,
Koepka, list goes on and on.
And I don't feel bad for anybody, but I just feel bad for the guys that did not go, had opportunities to go. But it just blew everybody's mind away. I mean, this what they did, day after, nobody knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of things involved in it, I think. I think the PGA Tour, they were pressured because they had already spent a whole lot of money in lawyers
and legal fees,
and it was going to go on and on and on because the Saudis were not going to back off.
Oh, wow. They had $4 trillion to work with.
Yeah, and they they were just going to fight it until I heard from some source that they were going to go on until the PGA Tour was going to go broke.
Yeah. And they had the money to outrun that.
And it was very close to doing that. I mean, they spent over $100 million in purses to raise their purses just to make it attractive because of the LIV Tour. They spent over $100 million in legal fees. And that's a lot of money.
A lot.
And, and if they were going to keep doing that, they were going to, imagine PGA Tour going broke.
Right.
And I think their hand was pushed a little bit too because if they did not do that, one, they were going to lose the tour. And then what was going to happen to the players? And then another thing was it was time to have, I think it was very close for discovery time for the both councils. And the PGA Tour was not going to show their books to anybody. And the Saudis, obviously, they were not going to show the books to nobody, especially the Americans.
Absolutely.
And I think it was pressured by the government as well, I think. That's my opinion. I heard a few rumors as well that they were, they wanted some kind of a solution.
Yeah. And it also got rid of the whole monopoly antitrust situation that was going on out there.
And I think, Monahan's cards were already dealt. He was not going to win with that. And if he had no, I don't think, end of the day, he did not have a choice. And it's sad that, it came out like that. I don't think any player on tour right now really believes and trusts him. And I don't blame him from getting some kind of an anxiety attack right now. Or I think he's medically,
kind of has like what Urban Meyer had there a little bit, that anxiety, that stress level.
Yeah, stress level must be, I don't know what he's got. Hopefully it's not too bad, and they come out of it okay.
So, what does that say, like, for someone like Monahan? Obviously this is probably adding to the stress, but I mean, he said some pretty bad stuff about LIV. And I mean, granted, he's saying, that's the information that was delivered to me at that time. But I mean, some of that stuff, there's no coming back from.
I think he was true to himself by saying that. He believed in it. He was totally against the LIV, and a lot of players were. And like I said, he had no choice but to make this merger, whichever way you call it. I think he had no choice. I mean, but he did not go to the meeting and explain to the guys, sorry, this has happened. I had no choice.
Right.
But I think he went to the meeting explaining himself why he did. He was trying to be the head honcho there, and instead of saying, "Hey, listen, I had no choice."
Yeah, I'm trying to save us.
Yeah, exactly. And he did not tell the right stuff.
Yeah.
From what I heard.
Yeah, and that backlashed on him pretty badly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think there's a lot of fear? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of fear of those players that had that backlash because now they're playing on the tour.
Right.
And how does that go if these other players take their spot? Like, how do they maintain
I
their
don't know
spot?
what the thing will be. I'm sure the guys that did not go are gonna get compensated financially. A few guys, some of the guys were gonna be paid. Like Matsuyama, although he's not American, but he was gonna be paid close to $300,000-$400,000 $1 million.
Wow,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a few other guys were going to be paid a lot, and they said no. They were true to their word, and they're gonna get compensated from what I heard.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be okay. I think this is good for the game. It's gonna make the competition better. It's gonna get every side together now. One thing I don't understand is why the tour was so much against it. Instead of working with them, instead of just fighting totally.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's like opening a new burger joint next to McDonald's. I mean, why can't anybody do that?
Right.
This is America. You're supposed to do whatever as long as you don't break the rules. They didn't break any rules. The only thing they did was they paid players to come and
they poached players with higher money.
Yeah. So that's what the sad thing was, but otherwise the players would not have gone. So,
yeah. They always say competition breeds success.
Right,
so that's all that was. What do you think about how can I say this? What do you think about the not the sanctions, but let's call it sanctions that Monahan imposed on some of these players? Like, I mean, we live here in Jacksonville, Florida. Mm-hmm. It's clear if you go to the TPC and you go to the clubhouse, there's no sign of Cam Smith in that clubhouse. Right. Like, I mean, was that a little too much?
That was too much, yes. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. He was so against the LIV Tour from the beginning. And I don't blame him. He was supporting the players. A lot of players were against it too. But, doing that was, it was sad. The only thing that was flying was the Australian flag, The rest of it was out. I mean, but he still won the tournament.
Right. And there's no sign of him there.
And from what I heard also, that the guys that are going to come back are going to get fined heavily.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have to, I don't know what the fine's going to be. It's not going to be $1,000 or $2,000, that's for sure. And which is sad. And Moynihan will be the only guy that's going to say yes if you can come back, or no, you cannot. Which is another, lawsuit waiting to happen. Why wouldn't, if the tours are all together, why
wouldn't everybody get an automatic opportunity? Is a solution just make them all requalify?
I don't know what the procedure is going to be. They have to, how can he not have Bruce Koepka play now? He just won the.
Just won the championship for PGA Championship.
PGA Championship.
Yep. So second in the Masters.
Right, second, and that already qualifies him to play. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's the rule that says that if you win the PGA, you're going to be exempt for 5 years.
Right.
So I don't know how they're going to do that. Yeah. I have no idea. They must have a plan, and hopefully everything's going to be worked out. So.
What do you think happens to Greg Norman?
I think he's going to stay on till this year and then leave. Yeah. I don't think he works with the tour very well.
What gives you that impression?
I mean, from the very early ages, going back 20 years, he was the one that wanted a world tour. Mm-hmm. And, then we got those world championships, not because the tour wanted it. They thought about the idea, and it came from Greg, And he has some great ideas, but I don't think he went about the right way to do it, Or the tour did not want to talk to him for some reason, you know? So, I mean, if they had talked to Greg from the beginning, or Greg had gone to them, I think he did try, but there must be some kind of a friction between Greg and the tour. That's been going on for a while. So.
Yeah, I think there's a long history of that, and a lot of disdain taste amongst one party amongst the other. So, of all the courses you played, what was your favorite one?
Pebble is one of my best. It's tough. It's the location of it, but the views that on a fine day you cannot beat Pebble. I mean, it's go up the hill on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, it's just like wow, you're in a different world.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of my favorite ones. And then obviously the Masters. Augusta it's nothing like Augusta. I mean, you can go and play there when there's not a tournament, but if you arrive there during the tournament, it's a different golf course. I mean, even the pine cones are placed perfectly. I mean, nothing's out of place. I mean, you say, hey, did they actually put the pine cone there, or was it? Did it actually fall there? Everything is just so pristine. It's just perfect. So
I believe that Jim Nantz recreated a hole from the Masters in his backyard. Have you seen him? Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
I saw on Peyton's place. He traveled to Jim Nantz's house, and he and Tom Brady shot a par 3 from Nantz's backyard, where he recreated one of the par 3s, and I mean, literally to a tee, to the pine cones and everything. It's sitting out there like that.
He would know because he's been there for
quite some time.
Yeah.
So they talk about I think in the series Full Swing, how when players show up, they're superstitious at the Masters about their number. Were you a superstitious person when you played?
Well, when I won, I got 19. My money clip was 19.
Still remember it.
And Cass's birth date was 19th. So and all the balls that I play with right now are 19. Right. So that's my favorite number. So and I always look for it. This year I missed it by I think I was 18. I think and I wanted 19 again, but it didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, and also. Marking the ball on the greens, you either put it on heads or tails, so you have a special coin that you mark it all the time. A lot of players have their own coins, that they've used forever and ever. So, I just mark with the quarter and make sure that, it's a good number. The date on it is good, it's either 64 or 65 or something like that. If I see one that is a 79 or an 80, I throw it away.
I don't want that one. Get that one away. Get that away from me. So you and Cass, speaking of Cass, you guys just recently won the PNC golf tournament. Congratulations on that. What is it like playing with your son on a tournament like that and going out there and winning that competition in a field that was pretty darn good?
Well, we played for the first time. I think we played. He was 13, and I got him back playing again. But we tried for 16 years. We did everything. We finished second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, but never won. Came close to a few times, but last year was fun. I was playing pretty good, and he actually played really well. He putted unbelievably. So for him to do that and he hit 2 of the best shots I've seen anybody hit on 3 and 14, and that was incredible. And it's father and son is a very unique tournament. It's it's not father and son anymore. It's I don't know what they call
father
it.
and sibling.
PNC right now. Yeah. To spend time with Cass, I mean, when he's any kid that is 14, 15, 16, they don't want to spend more than an hour with their dad, But
I'm living it right now.
He is forced to spend 3-4 days with me. I mean, we do everything together. We play practice round together. So he would never do that otherwise. So a lot of fathers out there and that have their kids playing with them, they just love it. I mean, because it gets, you kind of bond in a different way, So that was good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's awesome. Anytime I get a chance to get out on the green with my son, it's always a fun time, and definitely embrace that.
Right. And then you learn, even if Cat, my son, I mean, he learned the way I think on the golf course differently than, and we treat them differently as well. I mean, competition is competition, so they know how we think then. It's not just going out there and just having a round of golf. If they actually learn how we think as well, so which is good.
Yeah, that's great to be able to pass that down. One of the final questions as I wrap this up here. When you put on that green jacket, how was that a vindicating moment for you? Like, how did that feel? I mean, you'd already won so much, but we're talking the Masters. You just said it. There's no place like the Masters. Like, what did that, was that like a weight lifted off your shoulder? Like, I finally did it? Or, what was the feeling when you got that?
I mean, it's hard to tell, I mean, it's, I got to think back and try to remember what happened. But, you are so excited. You're overwhelmed with everything, the excitement kind of blurs your mind a lot, and I think at that moment it was the most exciting thing you've ever done in your life, no matter what it is, because in front of everybody, you putting on the green jacket is fine, but to know that you are actually putting on the green jacket and that's yours and it's never going to be taken away, that's, I think, a feeling that it's hard to describe. It's just a satisfaction, I think, a self-satisfaction, that I've done it.
Like a level of completeness. Like, I've arrived. Right. I got to ask you a question. It drives me nuts every time. How did the damn jacket fit? Like, how did they make that fit on you? How did they get it to look like that? Because not all golfers are built the same.
Well, they have so many of those jackets, so many of the members there that have different sizes and different weights and different, so they're going to pick out a member that is your height.
Yeah, they're going to borrow one from someone else. They're going to
find one.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, and then, you get to keep the jacket for a year, which is good, and now you take it home, and then you have to give it back to them.
Really? You don't get to keep the jacket?
No, and it's always in the locker room.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever I go there, if I went there socially, I have to put the jacket on and go around the golf clubhouse. So I went there in a cocktail one year after I had won, and I had my own jacket on, and it was a cocktail on a Wednesday of the Masters. So I was kind of mingling with the crowds, and the guys came up to me and says, "We need to talk to you," and I said, "Sure." So I went inside, and they said, "You need to change your jacket." So I had to put the green jacket on, so which is fine, but
you're like, I've been looking for it. You had it locked up. Otherwise, I'd have put it on when I got here.
No, it was in my locker. But that's fun,
Now, is that one of the only? That's only one of the only, I guess, golf championships you win that you have to give back the trophy of some sort? Like, is there another one that's like that, or is that
all the tournaments you get to keep it for a year? Okay. Yeah, and I think the Masters do not have. They have a trophy which is so huge, but they have a little one that you can take back, a replica of the main cup, and I have that at home. Okay. Yeah, but the PGA, the huge cup they have, I had to keep that for a year and then give it back. Yeah. Wow. And I think the British and the US Open has the same thing. So.
Wow. Man, that's a funny story about the jacket. I never knew that. I was always wondering, like, how the hell did they get that? They just tailor that thing in 24 hours?
No, they've got so many of those, so you just borrow one from somebody else. So.
Well, it's mentioning that, we're on Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day, by the way. You too. Thanks for joining us on the podcast and, sharing some of your stories, a portion of your career. It's an honor to have you on here. And, the biggest takeaway I took away from today was, it doesn't matter whether you're a golfer. It doesn't matter whether you're a business person, you're in sales. That practice is something that not everybody wants to embrace as part of the success. You clearly did that. You've had a wonderful career, and it showed up in so many different ways. And again, I can't thank you enough for being on the show today.
No problem.
Last question. Yeah, last question I'm going to leave you with. What's the one more course, if you had a chance to play it, you'd want to go play it again?
Play it again? Wow. I'd like to go back and play my own golf course in Fiji, really. the way I grew up on it. Yeah. I went back there quite a few times, but it's a trash course right now. Nobody takes care of it. I would like to go back and play the golf course that I actually grew up on, That is one, and obviously my last game of golf, I would like to play in Pebble, I think.
There you go.
Yeah. That's one golf course that is above everyone else.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day I'll get a chance to get out there and kind of see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you'd love it. I mean, it's go in a good weather, though.
Okay. I'll make note of that.
It could get cold there.
I'll make note of that. Well, guys, if you like what you're hearing, 5-star the podcast, please leave a review. Check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon. And then also check us out on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Leave the comments. We love them. It helps us make the next show. And check us out on our social at What's Your One More with the number 1. Vijay, honor. Thank you for having me on the show today. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thanks.
I got one more shot, I'm gonna make it. One more chance, I'm gonna take it. I meant it when I said it, now it's time for me to do it. I got one life to live, so I put my all into it, yeah.